All right, welcome back to the Tuesday show. Let's talk now about some other Smash stuff.
Yep.
So during top 8, and especially at the end of Smash 4 at Apex, you could hear the crowd chanting for Melee.
Yeah.
And when Zero won, there was a lot of sarcastic cheering that it was over.
Yes.
And you could even hear it after he won the first game. The crowd was very loud, and I thought to myself, not everybody's cheering because they like Zero. That's not it. No, people were looking forward to Melee, and so they were like, all right, finish it up, right? Understandably, that makes people angry.
Yeah. I mean, literally, Zero's on stage accepting his trophy, and they're chanting Melee.
Right.
Basically telling him, get off the stage in his moment to shine, basically.
Right. He's put in so much work. He's a very good player. That sucked.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It's
so
really...
It made a lot of people mad, and you know, there's always been a thing in the Smash community between Melee and Brawl, and now between Melee and 4, I guess.
Yeah, and I know a lot of the guys like Zero. There's another guy that I follow a lot now is Nakat. Nakat, who's really into Smash 4 as well. And, you know, he tweeted about a lot of things that he didn't feel like Smash 4 got streamed enough. You know, like during the Salty Suite, Smash 4 was still going on the side, and they were just like had speakers blaring into players' heads and stuff like that, and all sorts of things like that. He just didn't feel like that Smash 4 had quite the respect that he felt like that they... You know, you got to give them a chance. It was their first Apex, right? So
800 people were there to play it.
Exactly.
It's a big one. Yeah, but what was interesting was that I also have seen posts on Reddit from Melee fans who were mad that there was as much Smash 4 time on stream as there was.
Jesus.
Which wasn't a ton.
Yeah,
there was plenty, but it wasn't like to the exclusion of Melee in any sense.
Dude, Melee was still there like 50% of the time.
Yeah, at least. So
yeah. Look, the Melee community is just...
You gotta man up, folks.
They gotta get over it. They gotta get over it. You just gotta get over it.
That's it.
Accept the fact that, it might not be the exciting game that you love about your game or whatever like that, but there's plenty to love about Smash 4. Like I said, I love the footseasness.
Yeah,
I like the fact that there's more neutral game.
Me too.
Smash Melee is so much more momentum based. It's so much more momentum. You could see how it was always like whoever is in the middle is controlling and has all the momentum. But Smash 4 was really about like, okay, here's your chance. Okay, now here's your chance. Now here's your chance. It's more back and forth, and you know, it's less like, oh, I made a mistake and dead. That's Marvel style, right? It's more Street Fighter style. I kind of made that comparison. And so honestly, like, it's gonna be on stream. Don't try to get it off a stream. You know what I mean?
On, yeah. Look, again, Melee was on stream more than 4 was. So, what you have to get over as a Melee fan or a fan of any game is that your game is not the only game, and it's not the same as every other game, and it shouldn't be.
Yeah.
So just because 2 games are named Smash doesn't mean that they have to play or even should play similarly. And that doesn't mean that you have to be mad about one or the other. That's something that's been happening with the rest of fighting games forever.
Oh, yeah.
Forever.
Yeah.
Different Street Fighters are very different games. It's same for everything. Different Soul Caliburs are different games. Different Tekkens are different games. It's just it's always been like that. And if you're a fan of, you know, Street Fighter 3 back in the day, and if CVS 2 was on, you just like look. Maybe you weren't interested, and there was a bunch of that. But you know what you did? You went out and you got food during that time, or you slept. Literally, people used to sleep during that time. But look, I get that the rest of the fighting community is very accustomed to having tournaments be varied, to having half a dozen games at an event, and your game gets like a top 8 in the sun, and like that might be it. We're used to that, and I get that from a Melee perspective, like it oftentimes was not like that, and it's even when it wasn't, it was mostly a Smash event anyway. It was Melee and Brawl. So I mean, I get the genesis of it, but at some point, like, you just have to be like, okay, that's your game. You guys can play it. I'm stoked for when my game comes on.
Right. Yeah, that's it. You have to respect the other players. These other people are working just as hard. And a lot of these players, even, like, for example, in Japan, they don't play as much Melee. I think, like, AMSA is, like, one of the main ones. But, you know, they've mostly picked up Smash 4 recently. If I'm not mistaken, if I'm misquoting, then someone let me know. But, you know, a lot of these guys travel from foreign countries to come and play their game, and then when you're going to just tell them their game sucks or whatever like that. I mean, look, it's just not your... I mean, someone basically put it this way, right? I mean, let's bring this back into the Melee context here. Yeah. Someone was complaining to me about Melee at last EVO, saying it lasted too long, that it was boring, and they fell asleep during it. And I was like, you fall asleep to what you don't like.
Yeah.
If you don't like it, it's not exciting to you, right? Sure. I mean, it's like... Before I understood Tekken, I couldn't watch it. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to talk smack about the game. I just didn't understand it.
That's fine. People, right? There are people who fall asleep during Street Fighter 4.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Lots of people.
So, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, for sure. If you don't understand it. But see, the interesting thing is, after we had guys come on and teach us what Tekken's all about, and when I watched a lot of Wednesday Night Fights, and I listened to Eris do a commentary, and I figured out, I actually really enjoy watching Tekken now because I really appreciate the take turns, kind of stealing turns and kind of thing like that. Yeah, so it's actually something that I watch and I can process now. You know what I mean? I mean, a lot of people watch those Air Dasher games like Guilty Gear and Persona. Like, dude, when they play Persona on stream, I don't even know what's going on half the time.
I don't know what's a move and what is background graphics and what's like part of the UI.
Like one guy fights with a Persona and a dog.
Yeah, right.
You know, it's just like there's like 7,000 things going on. Yeah. I didn't like when I first saw the dog. I thought it was like part of Shadow Labyrinth, like the Shadow move. I didn't know what the heck.
Or maybe like it's Under Night where Line has like the little bird or whatever. Like it doesn't do anything, but it's maybe that's what the dog is like. I don't know. Anyway, the point is that if you're not familiar with the game, it's not going to look interesting to you, and that's sort of too bad because you should try to be familiar with each game because different games have different things to offer. But if you're not, don't be mad about it.
Yeah.
Just don't be there or fall asleep or whatever. Talk with your friends.
I mean, look.
You can handle like the hour or two, the few hours.
This is not even just us talking, you know, we were kind of the same way when Marvel was at its peak. Because that was the height of the When's Marvel meme that would go on. And it was just like, come on, guys, get over it. Like,
very similar issue.
Yeah, like other games would get on there, like you know, at TFC and stuff like that, Dead or Alive would come on there, and everyone would just be like, get this off of here.
Right. Same issue.
It's same for all of them. Like, everyone you just got to appreciate all the different games and really respect the fact that different people enjoy different games and they put in as much work. You know what I mean? Like, just because you think your game's better doesn't mean you work harder to get better at the game. You know what I mean? So,
at the same time, if you really don't want to do that, then the solution is to fall asleep or talk with your friends or go get food, but you don't have to be a dick to other people.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. So
that's
there you
go. And you know, I've seen a lot of posts on like Reddit and stuff, Smash boards, about like unity in the Smash scene and like trying to keep unity. What do you think about that? Like, that is just a unity between like Melee players, Smash 4 players, 64 players.
Yeah, okay, yeah, no, because a lot of people were talking about how they should just run separate events, or something like that, or even just run 2 different streams. You know, just stream Brawl. I mean, stream Melee here and stream Smash 4 on their own stream or whatever like that. Yeah. And you have to realize that that's not the goal of a lot of streamers. They do it on purpose on Sunday, that they run all of them because, you know, they want to get all the numbers and all the views on one stream. Right? If you're actually splitting it between 2, it's hurting your numbers. You don't get to say that, you know, on the stream we hit this many concurrent, blah, 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 blah. So there's a business aspect to why you want to put all of them onto one stream on Sunday, for example. But also, I just don't see what the point is for running different events for both Smash games. I don't know. It's just like, there are some people like Mewtwo King who will play both of them. Like, why have different events for these kind of things? I mean, I already think it's kind of silly enough to well, I don't know. I think it's good in the FGC that there are some events that, for example, like Frosty Faustings, that focus on the Air Dasher games, right? I like that. Absolutely. But they still run Ultra. They still run all those other things, right? All those other games are still there, right? So not every event has to be Street Fighter focused.
Absolutely.
But same thing with Smash Brothers. If you're going to run a Melee focused tournament, you run Smash 4 on the side. If you're going to run a Smash 4 focused tournament, you run Melee on the side, and then people come to either event, or come to both events or whatever. I don't know. I just like. It just seems too much like the Melee fans are trying so hard to shed everything to do with anything that's not Melee. and it's really unfortunate. So
well, at the same time, I don't personally, and I'm not like I'm only sort of tangentially related to Smash and just watch it and play it casually, but I'm not sure why people need to think of Melee as being like the same scene as Smash 4. It doesn't need to be.
Right, yeah.
I mean, that's not to say that they need to be separated in different tournaments, but like you don't need to think... I never thought of the Third Strike scene as being the same as the ST scene, because it's totally... Even though they're Street Fighter games, like it's totally different.
Right.
Totally different. And again, the same has been true with many... Marvel 2, Marvel 3. Different scenes, even though they're Marvel games, right?
Right.
You don't need to think of yourself as the same... But you can still be respectful of the other scenes. Yeah. And you can still get along and be in the same tournaments. You mentioned that the way that Sunday streams work is the sort of a business side of it. A big reason why there are so many tournaments that incorporate multiple games is that that's just sort of like the business side of it. Like it's impossible to run a tournament for everything separately. There's just not the money involved to make that happen. There aren't enough days to make that to have that happen. Okay, one weekend we have like Street Fighter 4, then the next is Marvel 3, etc., etc. There's not enough money to rent that space each weekend. There's not enough money to etc. People can't always show up every week, so you put it all together, and that's really what it's all about. That's why we have tournaments that have multiple games, and the same thing can be true with Smash. But at the same time, you don't need to think of yourself as being like the same. I almost wonder if like part of the anger on Melee fans' side is that they like don't want to consider themselves the same, but like they're always told like we're the same scene, like be unified, like, deal with. You don't need to be, but you can still be nice to other people.
I was talking about that one time, and I was just like, the Smash scene should help each other, promote each other's games, and they're like, you don't understand. Like, Melee is actually not like Smash 4 at all, blah, blah, blah. They're completely different games. And I'm like, dude, you're talking to a person here who has basically said Street Fighter players needed to support Tekken. If you're a fan of Guilty Gear, you need to write tutorials. You need to create tutorials. Like, if you're a Street Fighter player, this is how you approach the game. Like, I've been trying to do the same thing with communities that are even more wildly different than Smash 4 and Melee. You know what I mean? Like, Tekken and Street Fighter. I mean,
those are very different.
Yeah, exactly. So
I sort of hate playing like the outsider, listen to me kind of role, but like at the same time, it's probably make people mad. We've been doing this for a long time, and like we're totally used to all of the like conventions that go on, and we're used to having different tournaments run at the same tournament or different games. I feel like that's not the case with Smash because it's just only relatively recently has it become a big thing. People have been playing for a long time, but only recently has it become a big thing, and it's only been the last several years that there have really been like 2 games or 3 or 4 even that are like really played strongly simultaneously. And so it sort of feels to me like the scene is like coming to grips with that because they just didn't they didn't have to before.
Well, Melee has always basically it's just the older brother now has the younger sibling that he has to share everything with, and he really doesn't want to do that. Like literally the little baby brother's coming along going like, I want to play with your cars, and you just like take all the cars and run into the other room and stuff like that. That's just kind of what it is at this point. They just have to learn how to share, hopefully. So.
Melee's fan base is hostile because of how Nintendo basically gave them the middle finger with Brawl. No other community has really gone through a trauma like that. There have been no other fighting game communities where the developer has come out with a game that was very different from the previous one in the series. Do you believe that, James Chen?
Oh, man.
But this is what I'm talking about. Like, that is super not true. It's like just totally nonsense.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's like very much in tune with what I'm talking about. Where like it's sort of like less experience with taking on new games in a scene.
Right. Yeah, it's not the case, dude. It does suck to say it this way, but a lot of what the Melee community is going through, we've gone through many times already.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Let's see. It's not just that it was different; it's that it was intentionally anti-competitive. I mean, surely that sucked. I mean,
yeah. No, don't get me wrong. I'm not sitting here going, "You should play Brawl."
Yeah.
Right.
For sure. If you don't like it, I 100%
right
understand, because I've definitely been in the situation where I liked one game in a series and really didn't like the next.
Right, but the hatred towards Brawl really just it just picked this giant blob and then it just slipped off the side of the table and fell right onto Smash 4. Like, I just don't even feel like they gave it a chance. You know what I mean? I just don't even feel like... Because Smash 4, whether you want to admit it or not, yeah, Sakurai's still involved on it. But Sakurai obviously didn't get his way. Because they had the 4 Glory mode and, all these little things in there, kind of like, and Meta Knight isn't, overpowered. Because Meta Knight is Sakurai's, favorite character in the history of the world, even though he created him.
Yeah.
Which is kind of why he's good in Brawl, supposedly.
Presumably.
So, I mean, look, he didn't get his way, right? So, obviously, they're doing some other stuff, and if Nintendo's helping out here with this event, it obviously shows that they're interested in trying to help out. Sakurai, already came out, I was like, no patches, we're done, right? But dude, if Nintendo sees this as profitable, you don't think that they're going to try to implement patches? It's not like they don't have the facilities. It's not like they coded the game so that you can't patch it.
Right.
It's already been patched.
Sure.
And they've patched a bunch of their games with DLC and stuff like that. They're going to release Mewtwo pretty soon in the game, right? So it's obviously can be patched. So you just have to play it right with Nintendo so that you can get something different.
It's like when Capcom did a great game with Alpha 2. But then the next game that came out, I don't know what they were thinking.
Wow, you're really going there? You really want me to bring up Cross-Tekken?
Okay, alright. Yeah, alright.
No, I mean, Marvel 3. Marvel 3 is the biggest example of when we went through that.
Yeah. So look, the idea that it's very different that Brawl is anti-competitive. People were very angry, continue to be, at Marvel 3 for having comeback mechanics, which are seen as anti-competitive. Which, in a sense, they are. They're there to make it so that people feel like they are in the game, and oftentimes they are in the game still. You're not out, which is very different than Marvel 2, where people routinely gave up their last character.
And didn't we just have a conversation in one of the previous episodes of a bunch of Guilty Gear players who are mad at Xrd because of all the OS option select, yellow room and cancel, stuff like that? It happens all over the place.
It totally happens.
You get mad at these games all over the place. I literally have conversations with people who are like, YRCs are the dumbest thing ever. They're so stupid. Okay, you can see them stupid, but they just change the way the game works. You know what I mean? FADC up. That's why I was I never hated uppercut FADC as much as a lot of people do. Yeah, I could totally see why you think they're stupid, but you just backdash and you watch them whiff or what. You know what I mean? There's all sorts of ways that you can mess them up.
Spend half their meter.
Exactly.
Think about it a little bit differently.
Exactly.
Yeah, but there are definitely people who still hate SF4 because it's seen as being anti-competitive for having ultras and FADC. Dragon Punch FADC, that kind of stuff.
Some people still hate it because there's no parries.
Absolutely right. Yeah.
Right.
So, anyway. Oh, sorry about that.
That's okay.
So that's part of it, but then the other part is that a lot of people in the Project Melee community, Project M community, have been upset lately because there has been very little in the way of major public dealings with the game. Wasn't at Apex, for example. Right. Even though it did very, very well before. Last year, Project Melee had some really good showings, lots of entrants, but it's been sort of on the back burner, and people who were previously big proponents of it are now silent on it. Sort of big leaders in the community. Are no longer talking about it or playing. Even people who were literally involved in its development before, involved in balancing it or involved in publicizing it, aren't doing that stuff anymore. And so,
interesting.
Yeah, and so PM fans are like, "What's going on? Why is our game being?"
Okay, I didn't know what triggered it recently. I just thought it was just because Apex came and went with no project.
I'm sure that's part of it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but on top of that. People haven't been talking about it, and that's suspicious, right? Why are you not talking? What's going on that you can't talk about? So what I suspect is going on, I think what everybody suspects is going on, is that Nintendo has asked people not to talk about it, and so There've been a lot of responses from scenes where people are upset that Nintendo has gotten involved to a degree, because if it means that they can't play their favorite game anymore in majors, then like, is it worth having Nintendo as a sponsor? Right? If Nintendo's involvement means that you can't have your game there, like then why would you want to have Nintendo there? So I totally get it. But that's sort of like the opposite of what the situation is. It's not that like the community gets to choose whether Nintendo's involved. It's that Nintendo gets to choose whether there's a community in the first place.
Ow.
That's how it is.
Yeah.
Nintendo has all the rights in this situation. They totally control all the copyrights and trademarks and so forth that go into something like Project Melee. In Brawl, that is, that Project Melee then used the code, the audiovisual works, all sorts of stuff, the names of the characters, all sorts of things like that are all owned by Nintendo. And so they can control that stuff pretty absolutely.
Yeah, and I even mentioned this on Twitter today too, on one of your conversations, was that, a lot of people are saying it's a money kind of based thing. It's not even necessarily money based too. Like, so far it's been pretty good because the Project M guys have been very respectful of the source material.
Oh yeah.
Right? But it's so easy to just go on these troll routes where you just do like really stupid things, or even if you think something is innocent. Like the example that I gave is, what if you gave Link a throw where he impales you and like lifts you up with the sword and like throws you to the side, right? That might not be something Nintendo ever wants to have Link do. And if you program that in there thinking it's cool, and then there's this footage of Link impaling people and impaling, like Pokemon trainer and like throwing them across and stuff like that.
Yeah.
They could get really mad. People might get upset about that, and it's not even. And now their character is stuck with this kind of thing. So it's property protection. You know what I mean? So it might not even be money. It could just literally be Nintendo's like, you're doing our characters wrong. You have to stop. So. Yeah,
I mean, Nintendo has always struck me as being the sort of developer and publisher that really likes control. And I don't know if they've ever done anything to dissuade me from that, including the thing recently where they get a cut of YouTube revenue for people. So that with certain games, if you upload videos of yourself playing those games, then Nintendo like automatically gets that revenue and then splits it with you to the tune of 60 or 70%, depending on whether like they approve your channel or your video. They have to approve it. So what's that approval process? I don't know, but it makes everybody think that Nintendo wants to have more control, not just financially, but also control over what is allowed to be on YouTube. So that's the sort of company that you're dealing with.
So people are mentioning that Link steals things from people's homes already.
Oh yeah,
it breaks into people, breaks their pots and takes their money.
That's true. Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, burglary school, I guess. So that's the company that you find yourself dealing with, and as far as them protecting their IP rights, it's not really the case. It's a common misconception that you have to limit what is done with your material in order to safeguard your rights. Like if you don't protect your copyrights, they're not going away. They last until whenever they die, which is potentially never, because Congress keeps extending how long they're there, but for a long time. And so they're just there. Very few circumstances where you can lose your copyright. Trademark is a little bit different story, and you do want to police trademark a little bit more. But if you're Nintendo and you give a license to the people who make PM or whatever to do these kinds of things, then your rights don't suffer in any way. So I get Nintendo's rights don't suffer in any way. I get why people are mad at Nintendo as a result, because it's not the case that Nintendo is forced to act this way. Plenty of companies don't. A lot of people have asked me, like, what's the difference between PM and like Counter-Strike, like a Half-Life mod? The only difference is that the company involved in that case, Valve, is a lot more open to that sort of thing. That's it. They get to decide how their rights are enforced. Absolutely. Government's not involved. It's just them. If they want to let you do stuff like that, they can do it. It's been very profitable for them because Counter-Strike turned into a really big thing, and that's not the only example of that happening in the world. So, I get why people are mad at Nintendo. totally sucks if Nintendo is in fact asking people to stay silent on Project Melee. But you have to understand the company that you're dealing with. It's this very control-oriented group. It's a company that shut down chat when somebody got like mugged or raped because they met somebody on like Nintendo chat, right? Like they were like, they weren't like, let's police this better. They were like, it's gone. Everything's out of here.
That's right. The company.
That's the company.
The company that created friend codes.
Friend codes.
You know, just so you can't stalk people. And
they are
like
super
that.
worried about how their games are viewed. They want to have control. That's it. I mean, unfortunately, that's the rights holder in this situation.
And you said it too. I mean, a lot of people are out there saying that if Nintendo went and tried to shut down Project Melee all of a sudden, like they just banned Project Melee or stuff like that it would be a horrible PR mess for Nintendo that, you know, look really bad for them, etc., blah, blah, blah. But you said that there have been other things, I think like the Streets of Rage mod, the Chrono Trigger mod, all these little mods, like when they got shut down, everyone was mad about it for about 2 days.
Yeah, just for a little while. Yeah, the Chrono Trigger one you bring up, people worked on that for years, many years, and they were 98% done, and they had people play testing it, and they had multiple different endings. It was a lot. It was a big to do for this fan-made sequel to Chrono Trigger. And then Square Enix shut it down that's their rights. They can do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they did. And you're right. People were mad for a little while, and then that was it.
Yeah, Melee is probably. I mean, Project M is probably bigger than most of these other ones because it's been out and people have been playing it for a while. So there'll be a lot more people mad, but. The problem with it is, when you're involved in the Project Melee community, when you're involved in the Smash community, it seems like it's bigger than it really is.
Yeah, I think that's true.
In the grand scheme of things.
I think that's true.
Yeah, people might be mad for a week.
Yeah.
But most of the world is not going to care. And in fact, maybe a lot of world will be like, are you guys dumb? Like, you totally ripped off their game. Why are you mad? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, like, when a lot of those things, when the Streets of Rage and the Chrono Trigger went down, like, my reaction was like,
sucks, but it's understandable from
right. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think it totally sucks.
Oh yeah, it absolutely sucks.
My own views on IP is that it's very silly that the companies get to control what they get to control.
Yeah, Fighting is Magic got shut down.
There you go.
Right.
But nevertheless, they have those rights, and what I want to be the law is very different in many circumstances than what the law is. And this is how the law is.
Yeah.
So,
that's just.
It totally sucks. But so. Dantarian sent me a tweet saying that like he knew it was infringing, but
he worked on it.
I mean, yeah, you're right. Yeah, he's a big player in it, big participant, and he knew, and that makes sense because he seems like the kind of guy who would like know about stuff. I don't know, but so he's not the guy I'm worried about. It's the rest of the community that is very angry at the sort of like leaders of the Smash community for being silent on a game that they were previously all about. I mean, you have to understand what their position is. They're dealing with this company. It's not even that they choose to deal with Nintendo. It's not like they accepted a Nintendo sponsorship. Nintendo is involved. It's inherently involved.
Yeah.
For a while, they were ignoring it, but now they're not ignoring it. They've always been involved. So it's not these people's call about what they do with respect to Project Melee. It's not one of the streamers or players or commentators' call. That's just the situation they find themselves in. Unfortunately, you can be mad, but don't be mad at them. Right?
Yeah,
it's not their fault.
One of the things that I'm worried about too is that, you know, like you said, they could be mad at all the public, the big names in the community for not talking about Project Melee.
Yeah.
Right? Like they're like, what the hell? Why aren't you talking about it?
Right.
What scares me more is that what it causes is this increased backlash against Nintendo.
Yeah.
And what that ends up doing is now all of a sudden everyone's like, you know, to hell with Smash 4. Smash 4 sucks. Get rid of it. It's Smash 4's fault that we have no Project Melee. And it just creates a bigger rift kind of thing. It just gives them even more reason all of a sudden to hate on Smash 4. Even if like you're a Melee player and you never even played Project M.
Right.
You'll still use that. You know, you'll be like, yeah, screw it because they messed up Project M. That game sucks.
Well, look, I don't even think it's necessarily wrong that Smash 4 is the reason that Nintendo is involved now and the reason that Project Melee is in dire straits. I don't think that's wrong.
Right.
I don't think it's incorrect, that is to say. But what I think is the case is that Nintendo kind of sucks. Is that they're getting better about this stuff. They're being more involved in the community, but they're not there. They're not like where Valve is, or even was 15 years ago. They're just not there.
American companies,
Blizzard, etc.
American companies, Japanese companies, very different.
Very different. Absolutely. Yeah. I feel like that's a big part of the difference. That cultural difference. So it sucks. Let me know if you have any questions about copyright or trademark, because we don't need to go into everything. That would take forever. Right, if you have any questions, let me know. I'm happy to answer. Every time some issue about copyright or trademark, etc., comes up, there's a lot of misinformation out there, unfortunately. It's a really complex subject, and there were plenty of times when I asked my own professors about issues, and they themselves would be unclear on it. So it's not crazy to be not fully in the loop.
Dude, okay? I want to figure out how to put...
But let me know if there are questions you have so I can iron things out.
I want to figure out how to put on the screen, David at Ultra, at Ultra David Incorporated .com or something like that. So on the screen, really, honestly, shouldn't be that hard for me to just drop text on there. But I just haven't had a reason to do it a lot. So
it's cool.
Yeah, but unfortunately, a lot of drama there in the Smash community. They're at some weird turning point right now, where it's like they can either go, or they can either go, and just kill themselves, and it's seriously a make or break point for them right now, and it's kind of scary.
I'm not sure. Do you think it's a potential break point? I definitely see make point.
Oh, make point is potential, yeah.
For sure.
I mean,
I don't know if it's break point potentially.
I mean, if it starts getting really vitriolic, or people start getting really, I don't know, if there's a lot of bad press associated with Nintendo, could just be like, look, I just don't want to have anything to do with this anymore.
That's possible, I guess.
You know what I mean? So right now it's like Apex is amazing. Look at the Smash community banding together. So Nintendo even tweeted out some stuff about it and stuff like that. But if all of a sudden turns into fight broke out between Melee and Smash 4 players, and da-da-da. And if it's nothing but negative comments, then Nintendo's just going to be like, what have we gotten ourselves into? Let's get the hell out of here. So it could go, bad.
Okay, all right. Yeah, I'm convinced.
Okay.
So we're supposed to have already been over, so you want to just briefly address the last thing there?
Well, we
last
have
couple
Evo,
of things.
Yeah, sure. Here, let's just I'm gonna change this really quick.
We didn't think about this before, but you want to talk very briefly about Street Fighter V stream? Did you get a chance to see that?
I didn't actually.
TGS,
I didn't. No,
the Taipei
no.
game show.
Oh, I did watch the match. I did watch the
Daigo
and the Gamer V match. Yeah.
Okay, well, let's talk about Evo registration.
Sure.
First.
Okay.
So Evo registration for 2015 was announced. Attendees will have 3 options open to them: $70 3-day pass to the tournament hall, a 3-day pass to the viewing hall for $50, and a 2-day pass at $40 for everything except for finals day.
Right.
So there are 3 different options. This is more than before. I don't know how many seats are going to be in. Let's see. The event organizers relayed that 3,000 seats will be available for Sunday's finals in the main hall. That is not as many as last year.
No.
If you recall, this is going back to the Ballets Paris, which is a separated hall. There's 2 halls kind of in the same one. So one individual hall is not as big as one, I guess, in the previous one. But 3,000. What do you think about this number? $70.
$70. I mean, it's 20 more than it was last year.
Yeah.
And it is a lot more, especially if you're more than one person going.
Yes.
If you're one person, literally, if you take $1 right now every Sunday and put it into a pocket, you'll have saved that money by the time you get to Evo.
Well, I'm not sure if there are 70 Sundays in between now and Evo.
No. Compared to last year, $50 to $70. It's a $20 increase.
You're right.
Right?
Absolutely.
It's $20 more, so there's 20 weeks.
Yeah.
There's 20 weeks before you get there, right?
No
and
doubt.
if you're more than one person in traveling, obviously that's a problem, right? I mean, Evo hasn't raised their prices in 5 years.
Oh, is that so?
Yeah,
I didn't recall.
They haven't increased their prices, and obviously it keeps getting bigger and stuff like that. So it's just really comes down to, once again, whether or not you believe Evo is taking home $1,000 bazillion, or if they're barely breaking even, or what. You know what I mean? So if you feel like that they're raking in the cash, then obviously this increase is very offensive and very upsetting, because you're like, you're already making $1 billion. What do you need to make another $1 billion for, right? A lot of people are mad because there's no free T-shirt. It doesn't actually say that. It says, I mean, Wizard actually even tweeted recently. He was like, wouldn't you guys rather get a coupon code for a T-shirt that you could choose instead of being forced some T-shirt?
Interesting.
And a lot of people were like, I'd rather be forced a T-shirt.
No way, really?
Yeah, because they were like, it's cool because then it's that year's T-shirt, good or bad, and they like collecting it or something like that. Okay. So who knows? Maybe they'll just be like, whatever, we changed it so that here, a coupon is for a free T-shirt or whatever like that. I don't know. But, I mean, I don't know what to say. I honestly don't know what to say, because I can sit here and say, you have 6 months, you have 5 months, if you can't save an extra $20 in the next 5 months. But then again, you know, maybe it's not that easy for some people.
Well, I'm sure it's not that easy for some people.
So
I mean, at some point it's going to get too expensive. $70 is probably that price point for some people, rather than $50. That, you know, $20 is not insignificant. So I think that it sucks from that point of view. I really don't want Evo to price people out.
Yeah, for sure.
I really don't want that to happen. I wonder if the reason that they're doing this is not so much a cost issue, but like there are only 3,000 seats for Sunday, for finals day, which again is fewer than last year. So I wonder if they think like, let's price it higher so that we can sort of like make the potential pool of people who will be there small.
Right. Yeah, they obviously can't fit as many people in the room because
exactly.
they don't have the giant ballroom that they had last year. So what they're doing is two separate rooms.
Right.
And the secondary room, what I heard, is going to be, you can hear commentators.
Right, okay.
And it's going to be legit live feed. So it's like not going to be like delayed.
Right.
Right. That's the intention. Right. So when you're not going to hear the other room cheer first.
Well, that'd be nice.
Yeah. So which was kind of the case 2 years ago, unfortunately, because that was just how it was set up.
Right.
You know,
well, look, I think it ultimately kind of sucks to price that in that sort of way, because then the people who end up going are just the people who have more money. It's not the case that like people are going to be like, oh, well, I really value Evo, so I'm going to give up something else in order to get there. If you have more money, you get to the $70 thing than somebody who has less. So it ends up not being just the kind of thing where you price some people out of it to lower the pool in the first place. Right. It ends up being that you make the pool different to be like more people who have more money, which I think just sucks in general. I think it's a bad policy. When you and I drive, or when we drove maybe to Super Arcade on the 10 freeway, there's this whatchamacall.
All right, I want to know where you're going with this.
What's the HOV lane?
Oh yeah,
the carpool lane, right? So there's this carpool lane. There are 2 lanes, and you have to buy entrance into these lanes. And when that was set up, the planners were thinking like, this is a very congested freeway. We want to make sure that people can get through, who really need to. Who like value their time and they need to get through, so let's let them pay to get through. But instead, what happened was that nobody pays for it, right? It's this very crowded freeway that got more crowded because they actually shut down a lane, so that now it's this pay-for lane, and nobody uses it. That's what I generally think of the like idea that that some economists and other people like to use, where let's price things higher and make it so only people who really value it be there. That's not how people use value, really. It's not. Money is not always the same as value. And in pricing things higher, sometimes what you do is you make it so that people don't want to go, even like this lane. We could have paid the $1 to be in this lane each time. It's $1, but it's just like it's the idea of it, right? Like why would you? It's just frustrating.
Yeah, I mean it's.
So I don't want Evo to end up in that kind of thing where it's only certain people get in, and
so the $50
value is crappy.
$50 package just means you can't go into the main hall, right? So for the same cost you paid last year, you would just have to go into the secondary hall instead of the main hall, right? So I mean, you could do that.
Hopefully that's what people do. I hope people don't not go.
Right. I mean, because
But
you can pay the same thing as you did last year. You just won't make it into the main hall. And yeah, that's going to be frustrating. But if you get to watch everything at the same time as everyone else and hear the commentators, you know, maybe it's not terrible.
Well, hopefully not. Apparently we were frozen just now, and I'm not sure how much of any of that actually got through to people.
Oh, okay. Did people hear it? Did the audio keep going? Or
I was just saying that I don't like higher pricing that's intended to be higher to price people out of markets so that the market will be smaller. I don't like that idea.
Right. I mean, we've even talked about like the TSA pre-check and stuff like that, right? You just hate the concept of that, right?
To have rich people get to avoid bad situations. Screw that. No. We got to be all in this together. If I have to take my shoes off and be a jerk about it, then you got to do the same thing. I don't care if you're rich.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what to say because it's like, in this kind of situation, like if you don't say what they want to hear, then, I mean, literally, someone said to me, like, you guys had better talk about this, but if you don't express you'd better not express the opinion that I don't agree with.
Yeah.
You know, I'm just like, what do you want me to talk about, right?
Okay,
I mean, seriously, like, why do you want me to talk about this? So, I don't know, like...
let's see. Sonic says, "Is it really pricing people out if it still sells out ultimately?" Well, yeah. I mean, even if there are 3,000, say there are 10,000 people interested in going to Evo right now, and there are only 3,000 seats, and this pricing plan makes it so that 5,000 people are interested in going. Ultimately, only 3,000 people get into there. But what you've done is you priced out half of the people who were interested in the first place. So rather than it being like all about who's interested, like I'm really excited to go to Evo, and I want to be like the first one to register for myself. But I can't afford $70. I could afford $50, but I can't afford $70. Now that person's not in there, even though they really care about Evo.
Right.
Anyway, this is all speculation that this is why they're doing it, because I have no idea. Maybe it's a necessary. Maybe like they're like, well, we just can't do it unless we charge $70. I don't know. Maybe that's the case, but.
Well,
anyway.
We'll see what happens. I mean, the one thing is, a lot of people have been saying that Evo is growing more convention.
Yeah, it does.
But then a lot of people have also said that it's not nearly convention enough.
There's definitely that train of thought too.
For $70, right? Mm-hmm. So, I mean, like I said, if you're okay with being in the secondary room, there's only 3,000 spaces for the main room as it is. Chances are you're not going to get... And let's face it, last year, how many people actually use the early bird? Right? Like, a lot of people do, but then a bunch of people also pay the $70 afterwards.
That's true.
Already. Right,
that's absolutely true.
No, it does suck. I mean, it sucks because, one, I can't just be here and say like it's just $20. What's wrong with it?
Right. Yeah.
Like
it's different.
You can't say that.
Situation for different people.
But
what I also really don't want is you've surely been to a sports event and been in like one of the front rows, right? Like maybe not the front row, but like closer. You've been like closer.
Yeah.
The closer you get, like, the less interested people around you are, in my experience.
I don't
know if that's been true for you too. But like when I've been at a hockey game and like I'm close to the ice, I feel like there's less yelling and interest going on than when I'm up in the bleachers.
No,
I don't want that to happen to Evo either. That would suck.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's true. But that's also because we live in LA as well. So. I bet you if we lived in Sacramento, the guys in the front seats were probably just as crazy as they were up at the top. So I think that's actually an LA sports problem.
Actually, it's a college football. It's a college.
Oh, really?
At least for Cal. At least for Cal. I don't know. Maybe not for other people.
College, it's like everyone's crazy, right?
Not everybody's crazy. Everybody is interested. At least just at Cal, at least. I don't know about everyone else. Right. But like everybody's interested. But like if you pay for like the grown-up seats rather than the student section, then you're going to be sitting down the whole time. You're not going to be up cheering.
Right.
That's how it is.
So I will say this much. If Evo is going to start raising prices, if it is going to go to $70, then I'm hoping they're doing a lot more for making it feel more of a value to go there.
Yeah.
Outside of just playing games. You know what I mean? Like, if they can... They've done a lot. There's, like, the indie stuff. There's the panels. There was the art show last year. But you could tell the art show was just very much like, let's try this out. But if it gets bigger than that, that would be awesome. If they could start... Like, last year, Super Arcade brought a lot of those cabinets. Probably not going to happen again this year. But, like, you know, if they kind of set up, like, an arcade kind of thing like TFC or, like, even something like Umicon. Like, obviously, they're not getting to Umicon levels, but still. Man. But I'm just saying, like, if they can do stuff to make it feel more like it's worth the money, You know what I mean? Then I don't think, because like I made the comparison. I was like, dude, you have to pay $200 to go to BlizzCon for a weekend, right? And then some people were like, but you get like $200 worth of stuff, you know, for buying that ticket, right? So,
like swag and
like swag, or like here's some free skins or whatever like that, right? So, you know, if they can do more for that means, then I don't think people would be complaining. But the fact that they raised the prices and changed, like they took away a free T-shirt, like they didn't really take away a free T-shirt necessarily. They just changed the way that it might work. Like that just felt like it was just like the like the salt on the wounds. You know what I mean? So I just think they definitely need to do more to make sure that you have lots of stuff to do while you're there. And then it would be more worth the money.
Okay,
so,
that sounds right.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds right.
Okay.
Briefly then, NRS stream showed Ermac and a little bit more about Kung Lao. Ermac sounds pretty interesting, I think. He's a zoner, definitely. But he has this very interesting mode where he just flies around. Not like forever, but like, you know how Hawk Girl and Injustice can like fly around for a period of time? He can do that, but like he's more mobile as he's flying around. And he has options when he's up there. And you can like do 2 hovers in an air in the same jump, so like you could potentially just always be up there. But there is, you know, obviously lag as you're coming out of it. So I thought that was really interesting. Kung Lao has some interesting stuff too, where he can like place the hat around him, spinning around him, and then you can like use it as a shield.
Kind of like orbs, like sort of like
orbs.
Gucci belt or something like
that. Yeah, exactly. Or there's one where you can like place the hat on screen somewhere,
that one looks so
and
cool.
you could like call it whenever you want.
Dude, that's the.
But if you do that, some of your normals have less range because he uses the hat for some normals, so you have to play a little bit differently. Very cool.
It's Bridget.
Yeah,
throwing out the yo-yo, right? Come back.
Very similar.
Yeah. So
I thought that's really cool. I really like that they did the stream. It's something that they said that they're going to try to do once a month until the game comes out in April. I'm looking forward to that.
Oh, we didn't even talk about Splatoon.
I didn't even hear anything about Splatoon other than the first day.
Oh, that's true.
Did you hear it?
No, I didn't hear anything, actually.
I never saw any footage or heard anything about it past the first day.
But,
so.
I'm super stoked for that game.
Of course.
Still.
Yes.
Still.
Absolutely.
And then also another thing I wanted to mention was that caught everybody by surprise. Just this past week, they released a trailer for Shadaloo Showdown, which is going to be taking place this coming weekend.
Apparently so.
Yeah. Shadaloo Showdown's always been one of the big tournaments because a lot of the Asian players can make it out there because it's the same time zone and stuff like
Even
that.
Even some North American players typically make it out.
And it was always like in the summer.
Yeah,
it was always like in August or something like that. And
I think so.
Are they planning to do 2 a year now or something?
I'm not sure. It seemed to come out of the blue.
I was caught by surprise. I was just like, "What the heck?" Shadaloo Showdown. Like the trailer came. Like the trailer is sick too.
Excellent trailer.
Boss Logic is the man at creating trailers. He created this sick ass trailer, and then it was like coming in 2 weeks. I was like, "What?"
Right. When you saw it, you were like, "Okay, when's it going to be after Evo? Presumably, give us plenty of time."
2 weeks.
I don't know. It's strange to me. I'm not sure what's going on over there. I hope it goes well anyway.
Yeah, so definitely tune in this weekend. I'm not sure who's streaming it, but I know a lot of Japanese players are going.
Yeah.
Some of them that I'm actually not familiar with, and I think K-Brad's going too.
Oh, cool.
I think he might be one of the North American players who made it out there.
Okay.
Who's going to make it out there. So
that's very nice. There was also a Street Fighter 5 play, like a video play between Daigo, who was Ryu, and Gamer Chun-Li. And it looked to me like it was the same build that we saw at Capcom Cup.
But
did you see it?
I saw a little bit of it, but it really reminded me of all those times that, you know, they got like the players to play like the 5 new Ultra characters on stream and stuff like that, and they just all look slow. And then we watch Combo Fiend play like on the side, and he's just like destroying everybody.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Maybe shouldn't have people who haven't really played the game demo it, because a lot of people are complaining that it looks slow and all this stuff like that. And
it looks super slow.
Dude, do you remember when Marvel vs. Capcom 3 first showed up at EVO?
I do.
And every match timed out.
I remember
nobody could kill anybody.
I remember when it was announced, and because I was at CES that year, and so I got to play it earlier than most people. And I remember playing it, and like Keats was there and stuff, Mike Ross, and we all like tried to figure it out, you know. And like we were all like, even Mike, who had played Marvel too, so had Keats. They were like they were just very slow, and like Justin was there, and even he was like kind of slow. So I don't know, but it does look very slow, and I'm not sure if you can really change things like Ryu's dash being as slow as it was, because it was super slow. So I really hope that it's, again, obviously it's very early in the build from what we've heard. So presumably it will change. I hope one of the changes will be that it's faster. Dude, whiff punishing is like, it's got to be the easiest thing ever. with the exception that your own moves are very slow to come out. That's the only way that it's going to be the easiest thing ever.
Yeah,
you have 30 frames start
hopefully they speed it up a little bit. So.
Yeah.
But I mean, again...
What do you think about Chun-Li with the super fireball? Her fireball just kept going?
Oh, she like...
Fire.
Dude, you know what I got? It really reminded me of this really like crappy fighting game that got really improved by the next version. It really reminded me of Alpha 2 custom combos, you know, where you just go
yes.
yeah, and then the next version fix that because when you activate custom combos you can only throw one.
Good point, man. The custom combos in Alpha 3 are much better than in Alpha 2. That's great point, James.
But yeah, I don't know, like, I'm sure there's going to be some mechanic that's going to make it not as powerful or something like that.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Stuff that's going to seem super powerful right away. I mean, it just could be Wesker syndrome again, right?
Oh, dude, come on. I mean, like, who even knows if she ends up with any of that stuff? Like,
right.
It's all just very, very early.
Yeah.
I mean, there's not too much you can glean from it.
So,
okay.
But yeah, definitely check out Shadowloo Showdown this coming weekend.
Yep.
I do want to do, so someone in chat just kept messaging this because apparently people are arguing about it once again. Is Smash Brothers a fighting game?
I'm not even going to address it. It's so stupid.
Yeah, exactly.
It's such a stupid question.
It is a stupid question.
It was stupid. It's always a stupid question, but especially now, it's just a stupid question.
Yes. I'll just say it.
Oh,
yes.
Well, I wouldn't have even humored him like that.
Yes, it is a fighting game. If you don't think it's a fighting game, it is like you are in serious like super delusion status at this point. Like you are just in complete utter denial. So
I would have less kind words. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, is that about it?
I think so. Yeah, we've gone kind of a lot longer. So.
Yeah, that's right. We actually had something to do 13 minutes ago. We had something planned that hopefully still gets to happen.
Okay, cool.
Anyway, I guess that's it for tonight. We'll be back with maybe the Guilty Gear show.
Yeah. Okay, just so people know, I talked with Sanchez on Friday because I went there to go play again.
Oh, cool.
Dude, why is it I always play Bedman? I've played against more Bedman than anything else, and Bedman Potemkin is the most annoying fight in the world.
Really? What?
Because Bedman, do you even know how Bedman works?
Yeah, I investigated him, man.
Yeah, dude.
Just to see if I
stuff is on the screen constantly, and it's just.
And he's like dashing around with armor.
There was this match video between Fab and like this really good Bedman in Japan. Now, keep in mind, Fab wins most of the time. Well, that's because as soon as he touches Bedman dies because that's Fab, right? Yeah. But there were some rounds where even Fab just looked like he was just like, this is the dumbest thing ever.
He's like jumping around doing this a lot?
Dude, not even jumping around. He was just stuck, getting caught in the corner and dead. Like, he got killed by near perfects.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of times. So, but anyways, I talked to Sanchez, and he says, unfortunately, the schedule, he's working in a different branch right now, so he's not in Santa Monica at this moment.
Oh, I see.
So he'll keep us up to date on when he can do it. So, because if he's working here, then it's very easy for him to stop by.
Right.
But obviously, if he's not, then it's harder for him to get here on time. So we will try to do that. We are still going to try to do the Persona one. So yeah, whoever it was who said that if they had a script for us, you know, contact us on Twitter. Happy
to do it. I mean, that's. I would hate to have people do that much work, but if you're interested, then let us know.
Okay.
Okay. Anyway, that's it. See you next Tuesday.
All right. Peace.